Hey you, how's it going? This is Kazi from cleverprogrammer.com. In this video, this is gonna basically be the ultimate guide on how to become a successful Python freelancer in 2019. I sat and I thought a lot about what were the exact steps that I took to be able to get there and how a lot of other successful developers went from complete zero to being able to even make 6 figures and beyond as a Python freelancer. And I try to put them in this video for you in a step-by-step process. So this video hopefully will serve as like a manifesto that you can refer back to from time to time on your journey to becoming a developer. Now, this video will be really helpful even if you're a complete beginner with, let's say, 0 months of experience coding, the 0 to 3 months of experience coding. I will also show you how to improve your income and become more successful as a freelancer, even if you're more advanced, all right? This video will also answer some really important questions that people ask. Like, people often ask me, Kazi, I am a beginner or intermediate in Python programming. I have no prior work experience. How do I actually start earning an income from coding? So I wanna address that question head on as well, because I think that's very important, especially a lot of people are students in colleges, so they don't have work experience. How do they get their first internship? How do they get their first freelancing job when people wanna see prior experience? So this video is gonna help you obliterate that excuse and help you start earning an income in your first 3 months of coding. Now, this is not like some get rich quick type of thing. This is going to be a very detailed process that I'm gonna lay out for you. This is gonna require a lot of hard work, but this is the clearest step-by-step process that I've seen anyone ever explain. So I wanna do that for you and put it in this video. Now, before we jump into the content of this video, if you could just please do me a favor, because we put a lot of time and effort into making these videos for you guys. So the best help we can get is if you could just even like the video and subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit that bell notification next to the subscription button. So then anytime we make a new video, it'll come straight to you. Also, I have something really incredible for you at the end of this video, and I'm gonna reveal to you. So definitely you wanna stay tuned in this entire video, because that gift that I have for you, you're really gonna love. With that said, let's jump right into it. Hey, this is Rafe Kazi from cleverprogrammer.com. And on this channel, we help people become a successful Python freelancer, and we help you go from zero to earning your first 6 figures as a Python freelancer. Now, this channel, we help you break out of your 9-to-5 job, work remotely, and live life on your own terms. So if that excites you, again, click that subscribe button and jump on this journey with us. Now let's jump into this video. So I'm gonna actually break it down in 4 steps on how to actually become a Python freelancer. Step number 1, master the fundamentals of Python. What does it look like to master the fundamentals of the programming language Python? I look at it like this. You don't have to be able to solve like super complex problems, but you wanna have some level of competency. So what are the things required there, and how long does that actually take? So let's break that down. What that looks like is you start off by learning coding, all right? So you spend, let's say, 30 to 60 days learning programming, and you learn the fundamentals of the programming language. For example, the basic structure and the syntax. What are variables? What are strings? How do if conditions work? What are conditionals? What are functions? What are classes? So like object-oriented programming as well. Now, once you cover most of the basics of programming, you should be able to solve problems like the FizzBuzz problem, which almost every interview will ask you. This challenges your, a little bit of your critical thinking, but it also challenges you in terms of, okay, do you know how conditionals work in programming? You should also be able to make games like tic-tac-toe or rock, paper, scissors. Even if you can't make them from complete scratch, that's okay, because most developers aren't making anything almost ever from complete scratch. You are actually referencing material from online, but basically, can you actually use every resource in your brain to put together this app by yourself? So you should be able to put these apps together. Now, once you can do these types of tasks, I believe it generally will take you 1 to 2 months. And the reason I say that is, even if you have just a few hours a week to spend, you can actually learn these skills really well. All right, I have a free Python course. I'll pop that up over here. It's called Learn Python Programming by Building Projects. And in that course, we actually teach you how to actually learn programming from complete zero. And it's a 5-day course if you go really intensely into it. So you can actually shorten your 30-day or 60-day cycle in as little as 5 days. But that does mean that you're putting in probably 5 hours or 10 hours a day. Now, if you can't put in 5 to 10 hours a day, then just understand that it'll take you probably 30 to 60 days as a realistic time frame. So within 30 to 60 days, you should be able to understand the fundamentals of Python, master them, and be able to build simple applications. Now, once you've learned that, let's move on to step 2, where you actually start earning an income. So what does step 2 look like? Now let's break it down into something tangible. Now this actually came from when people kept asking me, and I also kept asking myself when I was starting to freelance in my days. I kept coming across this problem where I was a beginner in programming or intermediate. I had like a few months of experience, but I couldn't get freelancing jobs because they were really freaking hard and required a really difficult level of high level of expertise. Like if you go on Upwork.com and you try to look up freelancing jobs, and if you're a beginner or intermediate, you're gonna have a lot of difficulty being able to actually complete those tasks or complete those jobs. Also, even some that I felt like maybe I could do, those people didn't hire me because I didn't have relevant work experience to show them. So I'm a beginner, I don't have relevant work experience, which meant then I couldn't actually go on to land these jobs. That was a huge problem. I thought, how can I actually start earning an income? Is the only way that I have to wait 3 or 4 years of college, get a degree, and then start earning an income? However, when I actually looked around, a lot of my friends who had gotten degrees, even they weren't landing jobs. And a lot of my other friends were quitting their CS majors because professors went from teaching you hello world, and then next week you were making like a fucking stock trading app. So the jump in the level of complexity was way too difficult. So most of the people who were even graduating from college are essentially self-taught developers. They're teaching themselves. So first, I thought, okay, I can't rely on college or the educational system to teach me programming, because most of the people graduating are actually not relying on the school system. They're teaching themselves, and then they just come in ace classes, and then other people cheat off of their homework. So that's what's happening most of the times, right? So I thought, okay, if these people are teaching themselves, I gotta start teaching myself. But I gotta be able to find a way to earn an income before I actually start applying to places like Upwork.com. And then I came up with, what if I start teaching people what I know so far? So with my 30 to 60 days of experience coding, what I realized was, majority of the people by definition are beginners who are trying to learn. Most of the people have very little knowledge of coding, and there's a mass market looking to learn programming. And if you have 30 to 60 days of experience, you're like 1 or 10 steps ahead of most people. Most people who would pay you anywhere between $25 an hour to $100 an hour or more for you teaching them programming. So that's where I actually started. I went to a platform called Wyzant.com, and I actually made a profile on there. And I also went to a platform called TakeLessons.com, and I made a profile on there. Once I made a profile on there, what ended up happening was, over time, I actually got clients right from Wyzant.com and TakeLessons.com that started hitting me up and started scheduling lessons with me. I set my hourly rate at $35 an hour, and my first lesson I believe I got in 2016, December, something like that. I'll try to put a screenshot here so you guys can see and follow along. And that was actually freaking mind-blowing. I'm like, okay, this is insane because this is possible and people are paying me that much. When I walked into that lesson to teach this person programming, because he said something like he's working on a final exam for coding. So when I came in, I was actually really intimidated. I thought I couldn't help this person. But then I thought, okay, if I can't help this person, what I can do at least is I can try to help this person. And if I really can't, at the end of the day, I'll just refund him. So that's what I did. I just went in, the lesson took place at Starbucks, and we just casually sat there and I helped him with his assignment. And there were some parts which I couldn't figure out, so I told him I'll actually work on it in my own time. He thought that lesson was super helpful because we were trying to figure out things together at the same time. And then once I left, I actually figured out the rest of the problem on my own. And it ended up being not so complicated. What I realized was those 30 to 60 days that I actually spent learning on my own, most people aren't ever learning programming on their own. They're just doing the college assignments and they're spending bare minimum amount of time learning coding, which means that most of the times they can regurgitate information, they can regurgitate or just get through their homework assignment, but they don't actually understand how most of these things work. Whereas when you teach yourself, you're really able to actually do these projects because you learn how to think critically. My mind was blown that I was actually able to help this person and charge $35 an hour for my first student in under 2 months of experience. Then I asked myself the question, can I repeat this process? I started repeating this process and I started landing multiple clients. So if you do the math, if even one student is doing 2 hours with me every week, that's $70 per student, and me actually learning programming. Over the course of a month, that comes out to be $280 per student. Okay, over the course of a year, now that comes out to be, over $2,000 with just one client. And then I thought, okay, what are some levers here that I could change? One, I can get one client. That means if I can keep them for a year, that's $2,000 plus, maybe even $3,000. The second lever that I could change and play around with is increasing my hourly rate with each client. So if I doubled my rate with the particular client, or I got a new client at double rate, then that would mean I double my income by the end of the year. So I'm like, okay, let's test some of this stuff out. So the first thing I decided to do was, instead of doubling my rate with a client, I got a new client at $50 an hour. So now I had 2 clients, one at $35 an hour and one at $50 an hour. So with the 2 of these clients, now my income went close to like $400 or $500 a month. Then the next client I got for $75 an hour. Because at this point now I started to get reviews and testimonials on my profile, which make you look awesome. I had a great profile as well. And more of these clients started working with me. So over the course of a month, my income ended up going from, when I started, it was $280, and then it ended up going to my first $1,000 a month. I increased it to $1,500 a month. And now another thing that I want to tell you that's really important to understand here is that not only was I actually increasing my income, but keep in mind that I was doing only a few hours a week working with the people that I really enjoyed working with. I didn't have any boss. Bye. Oh, no, that's okay.
I'd love to know where I stopped. Everything's good. You didn't miss anything to this point.
Perfect. You're awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I didn't have any boss. I was actually able to work by myself. Some of the clients I would meet in places that I loved going to, like Starbucks, or some of the clients I met online, so I didn't actually even have to travel for them. I got to choose my own schedule. I can travel anywhere I wanted, and I was still earning an income. And one of the most important things I'm gonna mention here is that it was the fastest way to grow my skill set in coding, because every project and every student I was taking on, everyone had assignments that would challenge me and grow my skill set. So I was improving at a rapid pace while earning an income. And over the course of 6 months to a year, I actually was able to scale from just having a few clients to having over 20 or 30 clients, and I was able to earn over $30,000 to $40,000 a year. And eventually I scaled my just my coaching and tutoring all the way to $70,000 to $80,000 or beyond every year. All right, now this took time and effort and a lot of systematic work, but it was definitely worth it. And it made me go, if I want to freelance, I can choose to freelance, or I can actually be doing this, earning a great income and having massive and deep impact in people's lives. Because there were students who were going to coding boot camps that needed my help. There were students who were, going to high school or college that needed my help, or there were people who were developers that came to work with me so they could actually get help in their own jobs. So the demand for this was massive. So this is step number 2. I know we went really deep into it, but I want to emphasize how that this is the secret sauce, the secret step that just nobody ever mentions. I firmly believe this is one of the most important gaps that'll take you from having no experience being a beginner to then going to that step of becoming a freelancer. Other benefits of this I want to mention are you're going to have testimonials. You're going to learn how to reach out to clients. You're going to learn how to land clients. You're going to learn how to retain clients. You'll learn how to work with clients over the course of 3 months, 6 months, a year. These are incredibly powerful skills that once you become a better and a stronger developer and you actually start going out to freelance, either with local clients or you go to Upwork.com to freelance, you'll be able to leverage all of these skills. Also, you'll be able to leverage the fact that you have so many testimonials and experience in working with Python, and you can actually share that, and that will qualify you to be able to work with other people. All right, you have experience now working on multiple projects that other people were working on. You have testimonials from people who are learning Python, and they give you these testimonials that you can show off to a potential new client or a prospect. Again, this was just step 2. Now we're gonna move on to step number 3. Step number 3 is build real-world projects. All right, now before we get to step 4, which I'm going to talk about how to actually freelance and earn an income, in step number 3, we're going to talk about the power of building real-world projects, because before you jump to becoming a freelancer, you actually now need a lot more technical aptitude when it comes to coding, and you need real world projects that you can then show to your future clients. All right, so you have developed the skill sets of, so far, okay, if you're following on this journey, you have developed the skill set of retaining clients, of landing clients, of negotiating with clients, of being able to charge premium pricing, of learning how to deliver value. You have testimonials, you have experience working with Python, with other people. So you have all this at this point, but now what you need is you need to be able to actually just increase your skill set and have a portfolio that you can show to people. All right, so this stage is actually going to take you this is going to be the most difficult stage, so to speak. Okay, the transition between going from, a Python instructor into then freelancing with Python. But what this requires is for you to build practical projects and build lots of them. Okay, so you're going to be constantly learning programming. So I would say 20% of your time will be learning new skills in programming, and 80% of your time will be actually building projects that you can put on your portfolio. So you're just beefing up your portfolio and project base here. But what I want you to keep in mind is you don't want to just work on random ass projects, like going to a CS50 course and taking it, which by the way is a great course. If you want to take it, like, go ahead. CS50 is awesome. But what I mean is, try not to have a shotgun approach, because you're not going to be able to do really well when you transition over to freelancing, because it's much better to get really deeply technical in a certain skill set rather than have like 50 different skills in programming and then just be mediocre at every one. But it's better to be more niche and more jacked, in a specific skill set. So what I would recommend, for example, is go on Upwork.com and look at the jobs that are there. Okay, so go on Upwork.com, go to the search box and type in, Python, and then scroll through the jobs. So go and look at the different jobs that exist. You wanna look at jobs that have a skill level of, let's say, easy to intermediate. So that's something you should be able to do within, in your between your 4 months of coding experience, 4 to 12 months of coding experience, okay? So you wanna look at those types of tasks. So what do I mean? Let's say you go online and you see something crazy like build a application that has a redundant storage and it can serve to over 1 million users every month. And it has a difficulty rating of expert. For now, that's a no. That's a type of skill that's gonna take you like 5 years to develop or more. So you wanna focus on something like, maybe it's a $300 freelancing task or a $500 freelancing task that actually requires web scraping abilities to go to a website and get all of the PDF links from there. Or it requires you to go to eBay and get all the feature deals from eBay and put it in an Excel sheet. Now that's a much more doable project, and that actually doesn't take that much time for you. You could literally go to one of our YouTube videos on web scraping, learn that specific skill set, practice it over the course of a few weeks or days, and be able to land a client, with a freelancing job. You want to make sure that as you're in this phase 3 of building real world projects, research on Upwork.com what are the types of projects that you can see yourself doing, what are the ones that you could see yourself doing in a shorter period of time, and then plan your learning around what's actually relevant and what people are paying for right now. So if you constantly see these web scraping jobs and it interests you, then what you want to do is you want to come back to the drawing board and you actually want to spend your time learning web scraping skills. So you want to develop deep web scraping skills, go through web scraping tutorials, build web scraping projects. So then when you go to that specific client in the future on Upwork.com or another client on Upwork.com that requires you to do web scraping, you can just refer them back to your work on web scraping and be like, look at my portfolio, I'm a web scraping expert and I can help you with your task. If you're interested in doing stuff with regular expressions, or you're doing stuff with data mining, or you're doing Python stuff with web development, you're interested in the web development jobs on Upwork, then go back to the drawing board and practice all your learning around web development. Okay, we even have a course called Profitable Programmer that teaches you how to be a full stack web developer with Python. So practice and go through learning those web development skills. And then once you develop those web development skills and you build, let's say, Python projects using Django, then you host those projects with Heroku and you learn how databases work like Postgres and stuff. Now you're becoming better at web development, right? And you're building a portfolio. So then in a few months, you could go right back on Upwork.com and actually apply for that job and show them your experience, show them your testimonials on, let's say, Wyzant or TakeLessons.com, and go, look at this. I can offer you the skill set I have of building these projects, and look at what my clients say about me. That's everything a person who's looking to hire you needs to know. Once they see that, it's a much easier sell on your end, and you could position yourself in a really premium way and charge anywhere from $50 an hour to $300 an hour, okay? If you're more advanced than $300, but going from $50 to $150 an hour might take you 1 to 2 years, okay? It's a doable step-by-step process, especially if you laser focus on the skill sets that are in the job market currently right now. So this is very important in terms of you look at the relevant market and then you go and plan your learning around it. All right, spend a lot of fucking time around looking at what kind of jobs exist. Because think about this, how backwards is school? Think about the school system. The thing that determines your whole life, your major, they only spend a few days on it. When I was going to college, I had meetings with my counselor like probably once or twice a whole year. But those meetings determined 3 months or 6 months of my life. How absurd is that? That the thing that's gonna determine the 3 to 6 months of my life is essentially just 1 hour long or a 30-minute long quick meeting with a counselor that hasn't figured out their own life and are here and are handing out advice to every single student, like thousands of students with back-to-back appointments, and they're determining your life over the course of like a 20 or 30 minute or an hour-long meeting with you. And that's all the time that gets spent on it. But then all the other time is spent actually going to classes and putting in the grunt work, where I think it should almost be the opposite, because your future is the most important thing to plan for. It's almost like you're on a conveyor belt, okay? There are multiple conveyor belts. One belt leads you into the depths of hell. The other conveyor belt leads you into heaven. Now, if you actually spend a lot of time thinking about, okay, this one leads me to hell, this one leads me to heaven, you quickly do a quick Google research, which one is more pleasurable, and you find out it's heaven, then you get put on the conveyor belt and then you keep going, right? But you have to put in the work to do that research. But oftentimes, if you don't do the research correctly, then you actually might get put on the track that's gonna put you in hell, in a lot of pain, and you know, a major that you never really wanted, and that's where you're gonna get on the conveyor belt and start going, okay? And then it determines the rest of your life. So the school system is really backwards. I think they should spend like 20 or 30% of the time planning your future and showing you specifically what kind of jobs will you be doing? What kind of skills do you need to learn now to be able to get the jobs you want? Okay, they don't actually focus on the jobs, which is the ultimate outcome that you want. So you need to focus on that. So how can we fix that broken school model and fix it in the Python freelancing world? Here's what I would suggest, okay? Here's what you need to actually do. You need to look at the relevant projects and spend 20 to 30% of the time, you know, on your freaking iPhone. Okay, I don't have my iPhone with me, but on your freaking iPhone, get the app Upwork.com. Put it on your fucking homepage, right next to whatever other, like the text messaging app that you have or the phone call icon that you have, okay? Put it on your homepage. Make it something fun, make it something exciting. So then you click on it, and while you're in the bathroom or you're waiting for someone in line or you're just hanging out, you click on the Upwork.com app and you just see what kind of projects and things that people are offering real money for. So once you develop that habit and you get excited by it, automatically you're gonna be spending 10 to 20% of your time actually looking at what skills you need to develop, and then you wrap and map your skills, the skills that you need to develop around, right, around the real world job market on the things that you need to be able to do, all right? So this makes your learning hyper relevant and it makes your skill set hyper relevant. Whereas, for example, if you go to a college for 4 years, they have an outdated curriculum. They don't focus on what's in the job market. And so oftentimes when people graduate after 4 years, they have $60,000 or more of debt with outdated skill set that you can get freelancing jobs for, and you often can't get full-time jobs for either. Because in the software development world, things move fast. So wouldn't it be cool if you were just on top of it, right? By being able to see what's happening in the market all the time. So that is step number 3, which is massively, massively important. Just to wrap it up, step number 3 is build real world projects around real world market. Now, we're gonna get into our really exciting part, step number 4, how to start earning an income as a Python freelancer. Up until now, what have we done? Step number 1 was mastering the basics of Python so you can get ready for tutoring. Step number 2 was tutor with Python, and you can actually scale your income from, and you can actually be a complete beginner with less than 2 months or 3 months of experience, and you can start scaling your income from $0 an hour to $60,000, $0 a year to $60,000 a year or more. I know tons of tutors myself. Well, one is me, one is my friend Tenzin, who actually made over $100,000 a year just tutoring, all right? And I know other tutors online that are making over $100,000 a year. So you can make 6 figures from just tutoring if you really wanted to. Again, it's not easy. It takes a lot of work. It takes discipline and effort and consistency. So please understand that it's not something that's easy, but it's a simple process if you follow it. All right, now, so those things you did in step 2, right? Step 3 was about building real world projects around real market. Now, step 4 is this step that we're talking about right now, freelancing with Python. So now that you've done all of those things, you have the testimonials, you have the reviews that you need, you've completed the real world projects and put them on your portfolio, and you've niched down. So instead of like doing a web scraping project and a data mining project and like a data science project and a tic-tac-toe project, like instead of spreading yourself thin like that, you've actually worked on like maybe, let's say, all web scraping projects. Okay, so you've specifically went and took web scraping courses on, let's say, Coursera or Udacity or whatever. You specifically went and learned web scraping techniques from, YouTube. And now you are ready to go and start as a web scraper using Python on Upwork.com. Now I'm gonna give you guys tips that are gonna be helpful for the people who are getting their jobs the first time. And these skills are also gonna be massively helpful for anybody who is a more advanced developer who is ready to actually start freelancing right now. So please pay attention to this because this could be a gold mine for you. All right, so number 1, you need to have a solid profile. Now, I'm not gonna go too much into details about profiles. I'm just gonna hit on like the top parts of the profile. One of the most important things you need is an epic headshot. Now, I'm not giving this to you as some bullshit generic blogging 101 advice. All right, this is coming from experience, and this is coming from looking at some of the best developers in the world. And I'm trying to share this with you because from a lot of a position of pain too, because when I didn't do this right, it literally cut my income in half, and I doubled my revenue by just having a right headshot. What does a right headshot look like? This is what a not right or a wrong headshot looks like, okay? Most people's pictures are gonna be like that, or they're gonna be like something weird, like only their forehead is showing, but like the rest of the thing is blurry. You have no idea how many potential clients are gonna turn off by that, because people are trying to work with human beings. They don't just want the job done, they want to work with a human being that they like, who can then do that job. So your skill set is almost secondary. The first thing they see is a human that they like or not, all right? So this is a pretty important step. So a normal, like, that's it, all right? That's it, that just a little smile. Okay, or you could even have like the person who's taking your photo with the iPhone. Okay, on an iPhone, you can actually use this mode called portrait mode, which is fantastic. Just have a little bit of light on you. You could take your own photo, or you could give it to somebody else. They could take your photo, and done. You have a professional headshot. Just go outside, you have a sunlight hitting your face, take a freaking headshot, okay? This is one of the craziest, most important things for a freelancer, seriously. Okay. Now that you have that headshot, that's important. Other things you obviously need are what value you can provide to people. So have your portfolio and your projects there, and have your testimonials there if you can. If you can bring them from Wyzant and take lessons, or some people you've met in real life. If you can get their testimonials on this platform, that's gonna be phenomenal for you. Okay, let's say your profile is complete. What's next? When you reach out to people, one thing to never, ever, ever do, which I see almost every freelancer out there, a lot of freelancers out there doing, because I have a lot of experience hiring freelancers. I worked with probably 20 or 30 people in just the last 1 or 2 years of running my business, Clever Programmer. So I've hired lots of software developers to do consulting or to help build stuff at Clever Programmer. I've hired people who do our Google Analytics, our Facebook Analytics, who run Facebook ads, graphic designers, virtual assistants, I've said software developers, video producers. So I've worked with the facet of people. So I have experience looking through resumes. Who do we need to hire? Who do we not need to hire? And I can tell you from personal experience, the biggest turnoff is when I get a generic response that I know somebody's copied and pasted. So it'll oftentimes on platforms like Upwork.com, it'll look like, "Dear sir, blah, blah, blah." Maybe they'll just have your name, and then they'll be like, "Your project seems very interesting." And then they just rant about what they do, okay? And it'll be like, okay, why are you telling me that you do WordPress and Squarespace and Wix and all this when I specifically wanted help with Google Analytics, let's say, or I specifically wanted help with this Python project. Don't copy paste ever. It is not a numbers game. Let me just fix that for you right now. Reaching out to people is not a numbers game, okay? You are an idiot if you think it's a fucking numbers game. It's not. So let me just solve that problem for you. All right, if you wanna, you can reach out to 100,000 high-level people with just some copy-paste answer, or somebody else can reach out to like 10 people with a really solid, customized and personalized message, and they'll get back more responses that'll actually lead to something epic. All right, so please don't do copy pasting. Big mistake as a freelancer. What you want to do instead is actually send a personal message. Let's say somebody's project is, and I'll give you something specific right here on the fly, because I do this a lot and I do this in my business a lot, and I personally send out email newsletters to 70,000, 100,000 people, and I know what gets more opens and what gets less opens. I reach out to prospects and I reach out to people, and I know what they like and what they don't like. So we're doing a lot of testing here. So for example, here's something you could do that would be really helpful. Somebody's project is web scraping PDF links. Okay, you want to reach out to them, use this thing called useloom.com. This is an epic resource, so write this down or go and install it right now in your Chrome. It's called useloom.com, and you can just click it and it allows you to make a video right away. If you send a video message to someone, you're automatically like 90% more likely for them to actually see it. If you send a written message, which is totally fine as well, but automatically your chances are just so much lower of that person speaking with you, because in video, you can tell so much about that person. Like I can immediately tell whether I like you or not. I can immediately tell your level of reliability. If you're a person who I would like if you're humble maybe, or if you know what you're talking about or how friendly you are, I can immediately see those things. So use that to your advantage, and it also requires less work on your end. You could sit there and write this letter that'll take you forever, or you could be like, hit the use Loom button and just go, hey, my name is John, and I can help you with I saw that you have a web scraping project where you want to get PDF links. That's really cool because I've actually worked on a project like this. Let me show you real quick. And then while you're screencasting, you just quickly show them your project for 10 seconds and just be like, yeah, it seems similar. I can definitely do this for you, sir. And it would be awesome if I could just have 10 minutes of your time and we could just chat. Looking forward to it. Thank you, John. All right, now this video message, okay, you could link it to them in your initial outreach of your to the prospect. Okay, so you could say, in terms of typing, because the first thing is they're gonna see is a written message. So you could just say those things. Hey, I put this, I saw your project, the web scraping project you have for getting all the PDF links, and I've done some similar things to this, and I've actually put together this personalized video just for you and whatever the client's name is. Let's say the client's name is Bob. I've put together this personalized video here for you, Bob. Put the link to the video and then just go, and if you have like 10 minutes to speak, I would love to chat with you. But here's my resume, here are my testimonials, I've done similar projects, I can definitely help you with this. So make it very precise and then do something with low commitment, right? If you do 5 minutes or 10 minutes, that's really easy. So for somebody to just get on a 5-minute or 10-minute call. Personally, in my experience, I hire usually almost every 2 or 3 or the 4th max almost interview, that person I'll just hire, because otherwise it takes way too much time. So most of the people that are even posting jobs on Upwork.com are usually these solopreneur business owners that are trying to hire a contractor to get shit done and move on. They're not actually going through the regular full hiring process that a company that's looking for a full-time developer goes through. That's gonna be a much more rigorous and a systematic process. It's maybe gonna require multiple interviews. There's gonna be a technical screening. There's gonna be a culture fit screening. Then there's gonna be a negotiation phase. That is what big companies will do. But somebody who's looking for an independent contractor, they just wanna get on a call with you. They just wanna see your face and quickly make a decision whether you're gonna be able to do their job or not. So the more you show of yourself, the more personalized you make your message. And if you put a video in there and you show in a relevant way, you're gonna fucking kill it. Like, it's not even gonna be close, the amount of responses you're gonna get versus some other random person, all right? Somebody else who's just doing the same thing every other freelancer is doing. This is also what's gonna allow you to be able to actually charge a much higher income and command much more premium pricing than everyone else, okay? Because people constantly ask, how do I compete with somebody in Indonesia charging 69 cents an hour for coding, all right? That's how you're gonna compete with somebody in Indonesia charging 69 cents an hour, by being more premium, by being reliable, by being somebody who the other person can look at and go, this person will actually help me complete this project, right? You can also show your communication skills, because most other developers, their communication skills lack, okay? And people, I can't emphasize the soft skills part of development enough. That's the most underrated part, which is actually gonna bring you the most amount of value. Even if you look at statistics online, they say 80% of your success in your career comes from your soft skills and how likable you are, because you're working with human beings. And 20% of your success in your career is actually gonna come from your technical aptitude in any given field, especially in programming. So now those are some tips on how you can actually get these people to respond to you, okay? And if you've completed the first 3 steps that I've outlined for you, then going into step 4, freelancing phase, is gonna be much easier. Other tips I'm gonna give you on freelancing is start with smaller projects and then build up. So don't immediately start trying to do like a $5,000 contract or some like really big challenging project that you're like, oh man, maybe I can't do it. Start with $100 project or a $300 project, then move on to a $500 project and a $1,000 project. And then something really smart that you can do, right, is let's say you are working on a project where you are making $50 an hour and it's a really challenging project that you don't think you can do. Now, this is gonna be the majority of the scenarios. When it comes to freelancing and all this type of job related stuff, especially when you're not as advanced as freaking Raymond Hedinger or, you know, Rusam Guido, the guy who made Python, if you're not as advanced as them or really high level developers, most projects are gonna be a challenge for you, right? What you can do is if you're making $50 an hour and you feel like it's gonna be a challenging project, you could hire somebody on, let's say, CodeMentor.io, which is a great platform where you can hire developers on demand to mentor you. And you could pay that developer $25, $30, $35, $40, or even $50 an hour to help you on certain tasks and for you to understand how it works. So maybe you will work with that other developer for the first few hours or maybe even a week. And for the first week, let's say you don't make any money of working on this project, because all the money you're making, you're essentially giving it to this other developer to learn these skill sets and to internalize them. But then week 2, week 3, week 4, and over the course of a few months or a year working with this particular client, now you're just making full-on profit of $50 an hour. You see what I'm saying? So initially you're making an investment to hone your own skills. The company's paying you, you're putting that money into a developer who's then teaching you these skills. You're breaking even, and then after a few weeks of learning from that developer, now you can help them completely on your own because now you have internalized those skills. So understand how to actually use help, right? That's what made Henry Ford so incredible. He was in a court once and the lawyers were asking him all kinds of crazy questions to make him look really stupid, like trivial questions, like when was the United States created, or who was the president at a certain time, or what's the capital of some other, country. And he got fed up and frustrated at one point, and then he just looked at them and he said, I can't answer these questions for you, but I can pick up the phone in 5 minutes, I'll find somebody who can. That's the level of resourcefulness you want to have, because one of the ultimate forms of procrastination is actually not asking for help, trying to do everything yourself. Most developers fall victim to this. They take some weird kind of pride in doing everything from scratch, not leveraging help. And this is very, very selfish. And this is the highest level of procrastination because they're doing this to build their own low self-esteem that they have about themselves. So if they actually can do something from scratch completely, then it will fulfill their very low self-esteem and their very low self-image. All right. Whereas if they think about the client and the results that they're bringing the client, you shouldn't give a fuck about how you end up doing it as long as you can get your client the results that they need, right? So if your client needs a completed project, I personally don't care if I have the ability to complete it from scratch or not. I can hire like a developer from Philippines, I can hire a developer from freaking Indonesia, I can hire a developer from America. As long as I'm profitable, I'll put them together and make them complete the project and I'll deliver it to my client, or I'll get help from them to learn these skills myself and then be able to do it and then deliver the end result to my client, right? Ultimately, that's all that matters. Nothing else matters. The end result for your client is what matters. So understand that you're not as alone, because what will stop you almost always, you'll look at each project and be like, this is too hard, I can't do it. Every project is gonna feel like you can't do it. That's why you have to apply for it, get accepted, and then if you can't do it, hire help from platforms like CodeMentor.io or even Upwork or even Wyzant. You can hire a tutor for yourself, have them teach you the skills on the job, and then be able to complete the job. So this is some really deep level stuff which is gonna help you break past that barrier of I'm a beginner or I'm an intermediate. How do I actually start getting clients as fast as possible? How do I start earning an income? What's the path for me? Because if you start earning an income quicker, it'll allow you to actually spend more time learning the skills, so then you can eventually get a full-time job if that's your goal, or you can actually become a really high-level freelancer or a really high-level consultant. And eventually, you could even turn it into your own freelancing business where you have other developers under you, and then they work for the clients that you have, and you're the middleman and you keep the profit, they do the work, all right? So you could turn it into a freelancing business for yourself as well, but that's a really, really advanced level step. We covered a lot, all right, in this video. I'm gonna stop right here. Now, let's just come back into our bodies and come back here. So we covered a lot. I hope that you really enjoyed what we covered. I do hope that you leave a comment letting me know kind of what you thought about this video and maybe what were your biggest takeaways and if this was even helpful to you. Because I honestly don't know if this is helpful, but I try to give it my heart and give you guys everything you would really need step by step to get to this process. Please also, if you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to the channel so you can get more tips on how to become a six-figure Python freelancer. With that said, thank you so much for being on this channel. I love your face, and as always, this is Kazi, and I'll see you in the next video. As you know, the Python freelancing business crash course live training with me and John Sonmez has been launched. We recently opened the doors. Maybe you didn't get a chance to join Profitable Programmer. Maybe it was too expensive. Maybe it was too big of a course. The first time we've ever done this is a live training program with me, 4-week training program that's going to completely transform your career as a Python freelancer, where you get to watch over my shoulder of how I actually did $20,000 with one client. So it's a real case study. It's very specific. One client, $20,000, shows you my exact invoices and exactly what I did to land this client and the exact ad that I ran. If you've been considering it, definitely click the link below because the enrollment for this program will be closing very, very, very shortly. Put together a video for you that you're gonna find very valuable and is gonna share a lot more details of this. Click the link below and I'd love to see you in